Alright. Hi guys. Today we're going to be talking about visual impairments. We'll cover the etiology, the prevalence, the eligibility criteria, learning characteristics, and recommended practices. So first off, the etiology or the causes of visual impairments. There's a few. One is injury to eyes. Another pretty common one is genetic problems. So they inherited something that causes their vision to not be as in the normal range. Additionally, there can be infections of the eyes and cataracts, and those are all ways that visual impairment can be caused. So the prevalence of visual impairments, there's 45 million blind people, and out of that, 1.4 million of them are children. So that's just kind of a general number of blind people. As far as special education services go, 14,658 out of about 3 million total are students receiving special education, and those are the ones covered under visual impairment, and that comes out to about 0.4%. So it's not a very prevalent disability, but it is still there. As far as eligibility criteria, you have to meet the three-prong eligibility check. So prong one for visual impairments is actually going to be diagnosed outside of the school. Prongs 2 and 3, they'll be addressed in school. The visual impairment has to be adversely affecting their performance. And then the third prong is that they would not be able to receive a normal education without special education services. They also fall under the Universal Design for Learning, and you can use include to guide your planning when working with students with visual impairments. As far as learning characteristics go, students with visual impairments will often use their touch and hearing senses. This is kind of like to compensate. If your vision's not as good, of course, you're going to try and use other things to cover that. They won't experience full detail by looking at visual aids, so that's important for teachers to be aware of. So if you're showing them maps or pictures or something, you're either going to have to describe it or use other sources as well to supplement that. They may identify speakers by where they sit, so if people are moving around the classroom, it might be hard for them to follow because they can't see them as well. Additionally, in the classroom, they might use magnifying glasses or bright lights to read other assignments. They have the same range of intellectual ability, which is important to remember, but there's fewer opportunities for them to acquire information because they have a whole sense that is impaired. And then they vary in their social and emotional development. Some may be perfectly capable of making friends and having strong relationships, and they won't need any support. Other students may need some support in developing their skills. Recommended practices, there's three main ones we have. One is to alter the physical environment of the classroom. 2, hold an orientation prior to the start of everyday school activities. And 3, utilize helpful teaching strategies and practices. And I'll go through these really quick and give some examples of how you can do each. So to alter the physical environment of the classroom, it's important to have them seated or situated where they can see you the best and also hear you the best. So you probably don't want them at the back of the classroom if you're lecturing, or if you're trying to watch a video which they can see, you probably don't want them in the back of the classroom either. Lighting is also very important. Make sure the lighting is adequate for them to see what they can. Don't teach by windows because there can be a glare. Make sure you make the student aware, so reorient them when physical changes are made to the classroom. So if desks get moved or computers get moved, let them know so they have a heads up. Keep all doors completely opened or closed so they're not running into stuff. And then make sure you have enough space for any adaptive equipment they have. For orientation prior to the start of everyday activities, make sure they know where important items are, such as their desk, closets, wastebaskets, doorways, anywhere they might need to go during the day. Make sure they know where it is and like what obstacles might be in their way to get there. And make sure they can find their way around the building, teach them like where the bathroom and stuff is, and help them practice there so they don't feel confused if they need to go to the restroom and stuff. And then just be aware of any guidance they have and productive movement techniques such as like canes, guide dogs, electronic stuff. Okay, for the last thing, there's quite a bit on here, so I'm not going to go through each of them. You can go through and read them later. I'll just go over a couple main ones I thought were important. So you need to utilize helpful teaching strategies. There's 3 domains of learning. So visual, they might not get as much out of that. So make sure you're using the kinesthetic and auditory. So make sure you're having movement, hands-on stuff, as well as alternating to auditory learning as well. Keep noise level low so they're not distracted because they're going to be listening a lot to get instruction. Make sure you verbalize the work you're doing on the board, and explain transitions before they occur. This is important so they're not confused because they might not be able to follow as closely by watching, which is what a lot of children do. These are our sources. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed and hope you learned something about visual impairment.